Canada is known for its welcoming immigration policies, but there has been a recent shift that has left a lot of many international students and aspiring immigrants asking what next. The government of Canada has just announced a reduction in immigration target for the next few years. So if you are planning to move to Canada or you are already here as a temporary resident, you need to know these changes and how they will affect you. In this video, I will try my possible best to break down everything from the latest immigration targets to strategies that you can use to make sure that you are still on the path to success. Stay tuned. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel again. I'm your host, and in today's video we are diving deep into Canada's newly announced immigration levels plan for 2025 to 2027. Here's what I will be covering in today's video. First, we'll be trying to go over Canada's reduction in immigration targets and what actually is happening. Then we'll try and understand why the government is making these changes. Also try and look at the impact on international students and even foreign workers, as all these people fall into the temporary residents category. And I also try a possible best to share some strategies that you can help you stay in Canada or even immigrate successfully despite these new limits. We will also try and look at what you can do right now to secure your future here if you are already here on a temporary resident status. So hopefully by the end of this video you have a clearer picture of how to move forward with your Canadian immigration plans. And if you still have questions, I will let you know how you can book maybe a one-on-one consultation with me to discuss your situation based on my experience. And the disclaimer here, I'm not an immigration consultant, neither am I an immigration lawyer. Anything that I'll be sharing with you will be based on my own experiences and my research. So if you believe this will go a long way to help you, then you can feel free to check the description area and possibly click on my calendar and book some time for us to have a conversation. On a recent note, Canada's Immigration Minister Mark Miller just announced that the government is reducing immigration targets for the first time in a long while. From 2025 to 2027, Canada will see a gradual decrease in the number of new permanent residents admitted annually. So basically, instead of 500,000 that was planned in last year's targets, Canada will now only welcome 395,000 permanent residents in 2025, 380,000 in 2026, and 365,000 in 2027. Additionally, the government aims to reduce the number of temporary residents, including international students and foreign workers, to just 5% of the population by 2026. This one is a significant shift from previous years where immigration drove 98% of the population growth. So basically, previously, Canada's growth was driven by immigration. But what they are doing this time around is trying to at least cut down on those numbers so that it can fall into range that they can actually control. And according to the minister, these changes will make immigration work for our country so that everyone has access to quality jobs, homes, and support that they need to thrive on. So if you look at what he's quoting, their goal is to make sure that immigration actually works for the country, because the numbers that are coming in, they are not quality jobs for people who are coming in, homes to house them, and even the support system to be able to accommodate these people. So what they are doing is trying to make sure that people who are coming in will have quality jobs, have those dreams that were promised them, and also the homes to live in. So why is the government making this move? A big reason is the strain on housing, infrastructure, and even social services. Canada's population growth has skyrocketed in recent years, reaching 41 million in 2024, thanks largely to immigration. As of 2023, 60% of the growth came from temporary residents like international students and workers. So you could see that post-COVID, a lot of people who were coming in were basically coming in either as international students or as workers, compared to previously where most people were coming in on just permanent resident status. However, this surge has created challenges. The housing market is under immense pressure with significant shortage of affordable homes. Statistics suggest that reducing immigration levels could help ease the housing crisis, lowering the housing supply gap by about 67,000 units by 2027. So you can see that this decision is about balance, ensuring that the country can manage its growth in a sustainable way. Now, for those of you who are already in Canada or planning to come as international student or foreign worker, you may be wondering, how does this impact me? Firstly, the government has implemented a cap on the number of international students and has tightened eligibility requirements for temporary foreign workers. As you've seen in most of the policies that have been introduced this year, they are trying their possible best to cap the number of international students coming in, and they've also tightened the eligibility for temporary foreign workers coming in. This means stricter criteria for obtaining study permits, postgraduate work permits, and even permits for spouses of international students. Because they could see that these were some loopholes that people were actually using to come into the country. You have scenarios where somebody comes in as an international student and that person could easily move his whole family into the country. All this contributes towards the numbers of people who are actually coming in. So what they are doing is trying to tighten most of these eligibilities to reduce the number of people that are actually coming into the country. According to official estimates, Canada temporary population would decrease by 445,901 in 2025 and 445,622 in 2026. These shifts aim to prioritize individuals who are already in Canada, allowing them to transition to permanent residency rather than continuously adding more temporary residents. So they are trying their possible best to possibly transition most of these people who are already in the country from temporary residency status to permanent residency, as opposed to now bringing people from outside directly as permanent residents. Because by so doing, they will be killing two birds with one stone. One, they will be cutting down on the total number of temporary residents in the country. Secondly, they will be able to still achieve the permanent residency targets that they have by just focusing on the people who are already in the country. Because these people are already in the country, so there's a high chance of these people being successful if you transition them to permanent residency status. One thing that you have to also know clearly is immigrants play a key role in sectors such as healthcare, construction, and even transportation. In fact, immigrants make about 23% of all general contractors and residential builders in Canada. So Canada can never actually say that they are not going to bring in people. The focus is going to be on bringing in the right people. Now, if you are planning to immigrate or stay in Canada despite these changes, don't panic. There are ways to strategize and improve your chances of being successful. Firstly, I would advise you to focus on transitioning to permanent residency. If you are already in Canada as a student or a worker, the government is giving priority to those already here. So this is a chance for you. So make sure you meet the criteria to transition from temporary to permanent residency. For example, you can apply for the express entry under the Canadian Experience class, or even explore the provincial nominee program, because this can be a great option for you. So depending on the province that you find yourself, you can at least explore the PMP program or even try the express entry system. One thing I've seen is a lot of people who want to wait to the last minute before they even try. I've seen people who have been able to achieve permanent residency whilst they are still students because they qualified based on the point system, or these people were able to explore other avenues, so they didn't have to wait to now finish school before they explore any of these pathways. So my advice is focus on trying to transition as early as possible. Explore all the avenues that might be existing for you now. Secondly, I would say this is the time to start gaining the relevant work experience. Canada is still targeting sectors like healthcare and the trades. So if you have skills or are gaining experiences in these areas, your chances of receiving permanent residency invitation is going to be very high. So my advice would be take time to build a strong resume in the sectors that Canada is focusing on, because if they are focusing on people who are already in the country, they might be focusing on specific sectors. So this might be the time for you to now pivot on those areas to possibly increase your chances of getting permanent residency, because with all these changes that they are doing, there's a high chance they are going to bring in some new programs to help transition most of these people to permanent residency. We saw a similar one that happened a couple of years ago where overnight a program was introduced, TR to PR, and the people who were ready were the ones who were able to take advantage of it. So this might be the time for you to possibly make sure that you are working on your words, you are doing your English test, so that if there's any program that's introduced, you'll be ready to at least submit your application. Thirdly, I would advise you to learn French if possible. If you can, learn French. Francophone immigration is a major focus in this plan, with the government setting targets of 8.5% Francophone immigration in 2025, 9.5% in 2026, and 10% in 2027. So if you can demonstrate proficiency in French, you could open up more pathways to permanent residency. This is one area that a lot of people are not focusing on. So if you can learn French, it might open up a lot of avenues for you. With the new plan that they brought, even though they are reducing the number of people that they are bringing in, they are increasing the number of people that they are going to pick who have French proficiency. So this might be the time for you to start learning that French that you've always been putting down. My fourth advice would be plan for long term. If you are facing challenges now, it might be worth returning to your home country to build up possibly additional skills or credentials, then maybe reapplying when the immigration targets increase in the future. We've seen people who make a decision to go back home because they came in here and realized that Canada is not for them, or maybe the current circumstances or current situation that exists is not suitable for their situation, and they might be comfortable back home where they are. So they make a decision to go back, re-strategize, and apply. There's a written story of one lady who made that decision, decided to go back, apply because she was on a temporary residence status which was about to expire. She applied because she qualified for PR application. She applied, got nominated, and now she's making a decision to possibly enter the country again. This short-term reduction in immigration is designed to ensure long-term growth. So timing your application wisely could pay off. So with all this, what can you do now? Here is what you can do right now to position yourself for success under the new immigration policies. Firstly, I would say stay informed. Make sure you keep yourself updated with new immigration policy changes, because there are a lot of changes that are coming up and there will be more coming up. So it is important to make sure that you are keeping yourself informed of any changes that is happening, so that if it affects you, you can now re-strategize and make sure that you change your plans or amend your plans accordingly. Secondly, check your eligibility. Make sure you meet all the requirements for the programs you are applying to. We've had situations where people will start talking to you and they don't even know the programs that they are eligible for, because either one agent or another brought them in and they are counting on that person to possibly help them transition. It is important that you check your eligibility and make sure all the programs are eligible for, or when you'll be eligible for those programs, so you will know when to submit your applications accordingly. That way, as soon as you become eligible, you just go ahead and put in the application and don't have to wait till last minute. Thirdly, I would advise you to focus on improving your skills. Focus on in-demand sectors, or even learn French to improve your chances of selection. We've seen people change their location so that they can be eligible for some programs. Even where I am in Manitoba, We've seen people move just outside the city to other rural areas because they feel that those areas are the areas that will be suitable for what they want to do, or that's where their chances of possibly getting permanent residency exist. So I would advise you to focus on these sectors, or even learn French to increase your chances of getting selected. Make sure you are taking advantage of every single advantage that exists for you. If in your case you need to learn French, go ahead and learn it. If you need to possibly pivot into a new sector, this might be the time for you to do that. Last but not the least, I would advise you to seek professional help. Make sure to consult with an immigration lawyer or an expert to help you strategize your application if you don't have the time to do the learning and try and understand the policies. If you don't have time to educate yourself, make sure you are consulting with somebody whose job is to do all that, because most times they can help you build a strategy that will help you to lead you from your temporary residency status to permanent residency. It might cost you money, but in the long run it's going to save you a lot of stress. These are a few nuggets that I thought I should share with you, with all the changes that are happening with the Canada immigration system. If you found this video helpful and want to maybe engage me one-on-one and learn from my own experience, feel free to use the link in the description area and book a time in my calendar, and let's have a one-on-one time. I'm always here to assist you. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you don't miss any videos that are coming from me in the near future. Thank you for watching, and remember, Canada may be reducing immigration, but with the right strategy, your dream of living here can still come true. See you in the next video. Until then, cheers.